Your health should be important, and it can be fun, and it can be pleasant, and it can be convenient, and it can be affordable. It doesn't have to be such a scary, monolithic thing.
Be the change you want to see. Make a difference by giving your money a purpose, a mission to do good. Welcome to Money with Mission, where we show you how to create passive income so that you have options for how to work and how to live your life while leaving a legacy of positive social impact.
Today I have David Quinney. David is co-founder, chairman, and chief marketing officer of Precision Health Technology Holdings. PHTH is a health technology and product platform on a mission to reimagine healthcare in the United States, extending democratized and affordable access to cutting-edge preventive screening tools, artificial intelligence, leading health products, and proactive lifestyle environments on a national scale. David has a passion for building and investing in teams and systems capable of taking paradigm-shifting ideas and products to market and then positioning for rapid yet sustainable growth and scale. David has a double degree in psychology and marketing from the University of Miami and serves as a director on several company and nonprofit boards, including a directorship on the S.J. and Jesse E. Quinney Foundation. David, thank you so much for coming on today. I'm really excited for my listeners to hear about FHIOS.
Yeah, pleasure. Thank you for having me on, and it's great to see you again.
Yeah, it's good to see you too. So why don't you start with, how did you come to be a member or co-found this company, FHIOS and Health Technologies, a little bit off of from what I understand is your overall kind of portfolio of things you've done in the past?
Sure. So, a brief explanation is I co-founded my first media/technology business in 2010, a company called Technology, and we build large-scale audience bases for companies like Walt Disney, Toyota, ABC Family, things of that nature. Okay. So that took me through to a couple of other companies, doing some angel investing, things of that nature. And I did an investment in late 2016, the first one in the health technology and artificial intelligence space. And the business was running out of money a little bit. So I came on as their chief marketing officer. And over time, I learned, sort of drinking from a fire hose, quite a lot about the business. I ended up personally acquiring the assets from that business. And what I learned is I was like, okay, this can be done. And that kind of began the odyssey. And so my two co-founders are also my cousins, Uzo and Eric Erlingson, husband and wife physicians, Eric was doing public health for Harvard Medical, and Uzo was running genomics for Harvard Medical. And so I called them and said, hey, what would it look like to build this thing? And then our fourth co-founder, Chris Poulin, is from the artificial intelligence space. So we really sat down in end of 2017 and started looking at, okay, what would it look like if we wanted to provide early stage screening and affordable, accessible diagnostic care on an individualized basis. So the physician and research team began diving into the R&D. What would it look like comprehensively? Not just genomics, not just molecular biochem, not just personal environmental, but what would it look like to put all of those different variable data points together in a single protocol? To take a look at where we began was what we call the top 10, which is heart disease, cancer, stroke, Alzheimer's, diabetes, and so on and so forth, which cover just around 84% of all chronic illness and death. So that was sort of our North Star, is what would it look like to design a singular protocol that would be advanced and deliverable to look at that particular area of chronic illness. So that's where we began, and then R&D took just until mid 2020 to do the clinical research around that, as well as building out the tech and data analysis.
Okay, so I want to back up. You started out with the tech on the tech side and thinking about you had been a part of a company with the technology and kind of
very little of what the technology ended up being
of what you have now, but the idea started there. Got it. And then your cousins, both physicians, one in public health and one in genomics, they're married, right? One's a married into family. Yes.
Yes. So Uzo, so Eric is an MD, MPH. They actually met in medical school. And Uzo is a biochemical clinical geneticist, which is, there's only about 5 or 6 in the country and like 60 in the world. Yeah. So she has just an incredibly specialized background around medical epigenetics, effectively.
I looked at her on LinkedIn and was quite impressed and felt like, wow, she's really smart.
She's very smart. They're both very smart.
And then artificial intelligence. And over time, you guys sat down, talked about how do we do this? Because I think it's not clear actually what it is. So we're going to have to break it down, what FHIOS ultimately is and what it looks to do for our world. Let's just go there.
Sure.
I think you got a big vision.
Yeah. So initially we said, okay, let's not worry about costs. Let's not worry about product costs, but that's my department. Because we knew eventually we were going to need to make it accessible and affordable. And this couldn't have even been done a couple of years ago when we started thinking about it because of the precipitous drop in the cost of genomic screening.
Okay.
So we said, hey, let's not worry about the cost right now. If cost isn't an issue, what would it look like to design the best known genomic panel for looking at these 10 disease conditions? And then what would the best blood panel look like to then go along with it? And then what would the microbiome look like to go along with that? And then what questions, if we could ask any series of questions and time wasn't an issue, what questions would we want to ask a person about what we call their personal environmental? So, age, weight, ethnic background, behavioral, do you work out? What does your sleep patterning look like? And then, of course, your family health history, what are the history of these things? So let's just work on designing all of that, which we've now completed effectively. And then all of them have to not exist in a silo because human beings don't exist in a silo. Obviously, your genes interact with your blood, and then your behavior can affect your blood pressure or your cholesterol or any number of those things. So we completed that piece. And then the next big challenge, which is where the dual AI system comes in, is okay, now that we have this just immense amount of data per individual, you can analyze it with our entire medical and research team, but it would take all of them working together about 8 weeks, working 12 hours a day to do the analysis. So we needed to build a system that could do the brute force analysis to then hand off to a physician to be able to check it, right? So if you're looking at 1,000 genetic variants, obviously nobody's going to have 1,000 of those variants, but we need to look at all of them. And so they might only express in, say, 3. So it's very easy for a clinician to check the work, but very difficult to do the brute force analysis.
Okay.
And so that work has now been done. And then lastly, we'll never be done. I joke about it, but the ability to, now deliver that screening protocol in your living room via professional registered nurse phlebotomist in about 15 minutes. And that enables us to drop the cost significantly. And it all exists now on a platform that's very much, it exists web-based and mobile. And it's very much sort of like our version of iOS or Android or an Uber interface. So you'll be able to download the app, order the diagnostics at your home or office at a time or place of your choosing. That will only take 15 minutes rather than the traditional physician visit, which is about 3 hours out of your day. That then goes to central lab for processing. The results are then going to run through the AI system, and then we'll go back to one of our precision physicians who will do the read, and then we'll spend 60 to 90 minutes going through all of your data with you. And that entire process end to end is estimated to take 5 days.
Got it. So I want to get back to what's the point? Why would I do this? What's going to be the benefit to me? I'm a consumer. I learned about this. Like, well, why would I do this? What's this going to do for me?
Sure. So our current medical system, as it's set up today, is set up to treat illness rather than prevent it. Right.
Correct. Yes.
And so it's very important. People get sick and people get hurt. And that is just fundamentally part of being a human being. Right.
Right.
But when you think about how we approach our health from a medical standpoint, we essentially walk around all day thinking and hoping that we're behaving fairly healthily, or that we don't have anything wrong with us, whether, it's a blockage near our heart or a tumor in our brain. And that if we do discover it because we become symptomatic, which is basically we start not feeling well due to that, whatever the condition is, then we go to the doctor and hopefully it's not too serious and they can fix it. Right.
Yeah.
So we wouldn't manage our bank accounts like this. We wouldn't manage our stock portfolio like this. We shouldn't, in our opinion, be managing our health like this. So we want to provide you, and that's actually what FHIOS means. FHIOS means knowing. We want to provide each of our customers, we call them members, the ability to know precisely what is going on inside of them, so that if they do have a problem that requires a medical intervention, we can know early. And therefore, maybe you have a partial coronary blockage. We want to know that so that you're not walking down the street and get surprised by having a heart attack, right? Because if we know early enough, then the options and the outcomes that are attributed to catching things early are far more positive and effective and far less expensive. So we want to be able to give you the ability and your physician the ability to really understand at all times what's going on inside of your body, because we believe it's your single greatest asset. Very difficult to do anything if you're sick.
And it's, so I can hear people going, what we do that. We take a medical history. Your dad and your grandfather and your father's father, all those people in your family died of heart disease. Why wouldn't I just act like that's a problem for me? This testing says specifically for you and your environment, how you're in your risk of developing this thing, not just based on your family history. Your family history definitely plays a part. And it can, sounds like with education, you can then learn how to mitigate some of these factors and fix what you can fix. You can't change your family history. You can't, but you can change how you interact with a whole bunch of things that will affect your health.
Precisely. So there's really, there are two ways to interact with your health fundamentally, right? When you're looking at things, there's what we call behavioral change, which is, having less stress, having a better diet for you. And by the way, something that we learned through your blood and your microbiome is certain things that are precisely good for you might not be great for me. So like broccoli, for example, is not good for everybody, or leafy greens, and it changes consistently. So we want to know that so you have the most optimal diet. And so, or you can be exercising more. Then the other binary way is obviously what's called medical intervention, right? So that includes pharmaceutical, that includes surgical, things of that. And, you know, ideally, we'd like to keep you away from medical intervention for as long as humanly possible, or to make medical intervention as minimal as possible and keep you in the healthy behavioral change intervention category. But in order to do that, we need to know these things. So for example, when you go in for your annual physical, they're typically not looking as deeply as we're looking. They're not doing advanced imaging. They're not doing advanced genomics. So the picture of your health is going to be blurrier, for lack of a better term. So we will see things, we enable you to see things that you're maybe not going to see or catch in a typical annual physical, right? It's just a deeper, much more advanced look at your personal and precision health, which enables us to get a better idea of everything.
Got it. So there's a couple things I want to address, but as far as your annual physical, to me, the annual physical is more looking at the past and not the future. And this more is helping predict what can potentially happen and how you can mitigate that for the future. And in your annual physical, doctors don't, your general doctor that you're paying for with your insurance doesn't have the time, may not have education to educate you on nutritional things and some of the other things that the FHIOS product can do. Now,
100% correct. So the average physician, when you think about it, when you go to your doctor, even though it's 3 hours out of your day in terms of your time, you probably, on average, you spend 4 to 6 minutes actually seeing your physician, right?
Yep.
The doctor does not draw your blood. The doctor typically doesn't even see you after your results are back. You get a phone call from the doctor's office saying, yeah, you look all good. And it's because they didn't really look at that much. So in this case, we come to you, we make it incredibly convenient. And then the physician spends 60 to 90 minutes with you going through everything that you need to be doing in order to optimize your health. So the way that we look at it is, as a product, the medical system in a lot of ways it's pretty unpleasant. It's labyrinthine, it's monolithic, and you kind of just want to stay out of it. But it's our feeling that it doesn't need to be. Your health should be important, and it can be fun, and it can be pleasant, and it can be convenient, and it can be affordable. It doesn't have to be such a scary monolithic thing.
Yes. Talk about affordable. So this, some of this, I can hear people out there's like, well, you can go get these body scans. And as a physician, when somebody brings in a body scan result, I'm like, what am I supposed to do with this? So that's the other thing. You talk about your physician. I've got to change the subject a little bit. Let's talk about affordability first. So can anybody walking off the street do this, or is this a more elite product? And only people who are already taking care of their health in other ways can afford to do things non-insurance related. Who's this for? Let me ask you that. Who can do this?
So it is our express goal and mission to make this a product that is accessible to everyone. And to give you a comparison, so our workup of you is more advanced than like a CEO physical for a Fortune 100, where you fly across the country and you spend 2 days, right? And it's $25,000 to $50,000. Which, if you're the CEO of a Fortune 100 company, $25,000 to $50,000 is not a big deal. But if you're the typical person, we wanted to be able to deliver this initially at an order of magnitude less. So the entire workup has two main options, which is everything that I discussed for what happens in your home, which is everything except for advanced imaging and rendering, is $2,500 in terms of a base cost per year.
Okay.
And then the imaging component on top of that is another $1,000. So everything would be $3,500 if you would like to pay out of pocket. Now, we do understand that even that price tag, even though it is so much less expensive than what is out there, in terms of the competitive market, we do understand that $2,500 is still expensive and is not achievable for everybody.
Right.
So we do have a plan next to be able to sort of amortize it via an Affirm plugin. Now, the next issue with an Affirm plugin is that's great if you'd like to be paying monthly to stretch it out over sort of a 60-month period, the same way that you would buy a Peloton, right? Or piece of furniture or whatever else. The issue with that, so that's great for people that aren't necessarily wealthy, but are sort of middle class.
Have regular income.
And would like access to that. Now, the challenge there is, let's talk about people who are underbanked and lower income. It's very important to us that they have the same level of access as the affluent. And the issue with that and something like an Affirm is, let's just take an example. Let's say single mom with 2 kids and making $25,000 a year, and probably some pretty stretched credit. This person is likely not going to qualify for Affirm when they do the credit run, right? So that should not disqualify her from having the same level of diagnostic care. So as part of our upcoming capital raise, we're creating something called the Oasis Fund. And we named it Oasis to deal with health deserts, which exist all over the country. So the idea with the Oasis Fund is for that type of individual that legitimately would like access, but is just incapable of affording this. What the Oasis Fund will do is the Oasis Fund will underwrite their access to their FHIOS baseline, and then that individual will pay it back over time and with no interest and no recourse. So it's essentially a micro lending product within the company. Now, in terms of business, so there's a couple of reasons that we made this decision. One is it's the right thing to do. And we do understand that for that portion of the customer base, it will slow our velocity of capital a bit. But the trade-off from a business standpoint is it makes our total addressable market everyone now, right? So we're willing to make the trade to slow velocity of capital in order to provide the product to people who otherwise really just can't afford it or access it. And so the goal there is to be able to get this level of convenience and care to the people who fall within that category for around $35 a month.
Got it. And I heard you say there's no recourse. So if that $35 a month becomes something that I lost my job and for 6 months I can't pay that, there's not a issue. It's a matter of, okay, let's talk it through and get you back on plan when you can.
Correct. Absolutely. So we cover the cost up front. And essentially if you default, that's on us. And we estimate that this portion of our total addressable market is going to be about 10% initially. So it's not it's not structurally critical to the success or failure of the business. But what is interesting, and this is fascinating, this is true the world over. And I learned about this initially from Muhammad Yunus, who is one of the pioneers of microlending. Funnily enough, lower income individuals tend to default on smaller loans significantly less than wealthier individuals or middle class individuals. So the default rate is incredibly small for people that are taking $200,000, $500,000 loans who also happen to be lower income. And we're not entirely sure why that is, but there have been economic studies in India, in the United States, in the EU, and they've found this to be, for some reason, culturally true most places within the world. So we also have taken that into account, and we feel pretty good about being able to offer this through this model, and what that says both for our business and our numbers, and being able to give this product.
Got it. So that particular Oasis, that's for you're rolling it out to actually increase your addressable market and to do the right thing so that everybody, this is not just for affluent people who can already afford to be healthy and eat well. Just like you guys and me with food deserts, health deserts exist, and they're probably the same areas. So eating well, getting your health together in a predictive way, not just a reactive way, which is the way our health system is right now. We're all reactive. You also talked about your physician. So I'm a physician, and I can just imagine a patient coming into me with all this information. I'm going, what the heck is this? Is that the physician you're talking about that they're going to take it to, or is there somebody? Tell me about that.
No, so it's a great question. Okay, so this is also helpful for physicians. So of course, and this is an important point, our patients are our members, are our customers, and they always own their data. We will never sell their data. We will never distribute their data. That is not our business model and never ever will be. So if they would like to present their health data from our screening to their family physician, they're more than welcome to do so. Okay. But in addition to that, for physicians, we roll this out very similarly to the way that Uber was rolled out, right? So city by city by city. And in each market, we call them market pods. We actually need we call them precision physicians. And so the way that works is we say, okay, Dr. Frau, we would like to partner with you as a FHIOS precision physician, because we're launching FHIOS in your city. And so we're going to pay you $2,000 to get trained on the system, typically over 48 hours, learn about the dashboards and the protocols and all of that. Now, nextly, the average physician in the United States, believe it or not, family practice doc, makes about $120 an hour. Okay. So we go to our physicians and we say, listen, we want to pay you $2,000 to get trained on the system. And then we want to pay you $200 to $250 an hour. So twice what you're making in your practice and no insurance. And then we want to begin referring patients to you. So for that 60-minute baseline consult, you will sit down on the system that you've been trained on, and you will do a review with the patient, and then we will immediately pay you in cash for that review. So you don't have to deal with the back office billing, arguing with the insurance companies. So the physicians love it because they are making more money without all of the hassle. And now they're not having to run around and see 30 patients a day. They still keep their practice. They don't have to change anything. But when we refer them a patient, they get access to all the data that they would love, all very neatly organized. And then they're getting paid more to spend longer with their patients, which is sort of what they would like to be doing if the current insurance industry didn't refuse to reimburse over a 9-minute maximum, which they typically do. So
Right.
if you talk to pretty much any primary care doc, they would love to be able to sit down and talk to you for 30, 60 minutes. But any time past 9 minutes is costing them money.
Yeah.
And so we offer them the ability to be able to sit down and actually spend the time that they would like to and get paid more to do so.
So a thought just crossed my mind. So let's say that that's in Tulsa. I'm that physician. I'm not a family practice, but let's pretend I am here and working with your system, got the training, and now talking to people who are not my patients. They're not my patients on the insurance panel, let's say. Is there, or have you guys looked at all any kind of conflict of interest type thing so now I'm talking to this person who got this FHIOS evaluation, I'm talking to them, now they come to me and now I'm going to be making money with them from an insurance side also. Is there, do you know anything about that at all? Because that just crossed my mind. I'm sure it's going to cross somebody else's mind.
You mean a conflict of interest?
I don't even know if it's called a conflict
with
of interest.
their other.
Let me look at it. Let's go the other way. Let's say I have regular patients coming in. They're paying their insurance. They're getting paid. getting paid through their insurance. And I'm start talking to them about this evaluation they could have, become a member of FHIOS. Now let's say I've invested in FHIOS. Let's say all that stuff is there. Is there it used to be called Stark. Maybe that's not what it is anymore, where you couldn't refer to something where you're going to make some kind of, I don't even know. It just seems like there might be some kind of governmental regulation around this.
Sure. All really good questions. And yes, we have thought through them. Okay. So a couple of things. So we're sending patients to the physician. Now they are able to also refer them to us, but it's just like referring to diagnostics. So that's the first part. Secondly, when it comes to insurance, once something is potentially discovered that requires, let's say, a statin, due to the Affordable Care Act, that immediately becomes insurance reimbursable, right? So the minute that you have a condition that the doctor says, hey, we've discovered X, Y, and Z, I'm prescribing you this, now you immediately fall within insurance. So we're not, and it's very important when you bring up Stark, we're simply a tool. We're absolutely not practicing medicine and not a medical device, right? So the physician still has to review all of your data and then make a decision about X, Y, and Z. And then the minute a decision is made based on the data, the physician is now making the decisions on whether you need to go to a cardiologist or not. And then that becomes outside of the FHIOS ecosystem and into the traditional medical ecosystem. We're simply providing data and tools for a physician and essentially a better payment processing. But we don't step into the actual medical care of what insurance would reimburse typically. So you have insurance as a patient, you'll still need and want health insurance, because if anything is discovered in your screening and you do need any type of medical treatment, pharmaceutical or any other, insurance is still going to cover that. Insurance simply will not cover, mainly today, predictive and preventive screening that is super expensive. So it's our thesis that you need both. You need health insurance in case you're ill or hurt, and you need excellent screening to know whether you're ill or hurt, or whether you may become
What's
in the
your
near
potential?
future. Right. And then the doctor makes the decision in the middle about the data.
It seems like to me that if you got this screening, it could help you know how much insurance you actually really need to have. I mean, it can help you make that decision as to where you really need to be. So I can have my, catastrophic plan where I have a $20,000 deductible because things really look pretty good health-wise.
Yep.
Or
Sure.
Whatever, however that goes. It seems like that would be something that could help you make that decision. And then I have another question about insurance. Is that something that you guys even thought about, or does that make sense to you, or is that?
Yeah. So yes, it does help make those decisions. But again, as a patient, those need to be your decisions with your physician,
100%.
right? But when you really think about it, most people are effectively doing that today anyway. They're like, oh, I'm 35 years old and I'm in pretty good shape and I eat really healthily and I don't smoke and I have a glass of wine every now and then. I probably only need catastrophic insurance. But yes, having more data, it's our thesis that having more data will always enable you to make better decisions for your health. And so it's our job to be able to present you and your physician with the best data possible to enable the best decisions possible on insurance and anything else.
Yeah, I really like that. Back to you did go over this, but I want to make sure everybody heard, because one thing I thought about when I first heard about this was like, oh my gosh, now all my information is out there for my insurance company to see what problems I have now, jack up my rates and all that kind of stuff. How are you guys protecting against information getting out of the bag? And now somebody's going to know I have high cholesterol. If I don't want my insurance company to know, I just pay out of pocket for my whatever's I'm using, I can do that now. Would that be something how do you protect against that? Let me just ask that question.
Sure. So it's kind of a two-part question. So the first part is in terms of data security, right? So all of your information exists on your private server, which is owned by, we provide the servers, but it's legally accessible and encrypted only to you via cloud and edge computing network, right?
Okay.
So no matter where you are in the world, let's say you're in Paris on vacation and I don't know, you fall off your bike and you bump your head, you got to go to the ER. You just pull out your phone and you will have all of your medical data and everything, including your insurance records, all on the FHIOS user interface. So that's one, and then it's encrypted via a combination of cloud and edge computing through one of our partnerships that allows you essentially accessibility from anywhere in the world, and then it's up to you whom you provide that to. Whether it's the ER doc in Paris in this example, or your primary care physician that is not a FHIOS doctor, that's up to you. Now, in terms of insurance, they can request and in some cases require the data, which is ultimately, again, up to you whether you would like to provide that data for them or not.
Okay.
So, we provide our patients, whom we call members, with their data, and it is up to them to do with it what they would like. We do think that it's a little tricky with insurance because, candidly, and this is also why insurance in the early 2000s stopped covering advanced blood panels, which most people don't even know. So when you go to your physical, they're not doing the same type of blood panel that they used to be doing 30 years ago, because insurance stopped covering it, right? So everything looks good because they're not looking at that much. So it is a bit of a double-edged sword, because the issue with insurance is sick people are very expensive, right?
Mhm.
They would candidly, they would like you healthy or not around.
Not
Because,
here. Yes.
yeah, they prefer healthy because healthy people pay their premiums. What they don't want you is chronically ill. So we believe in the long term, insurance is going to love this, because they're the only people in the entire current medical establishment that doesn't make money when you're sick. They make
Okay.
money, so they don't want you sick, to the point, so much so that they don't even want to know if you are sick, because, so we are going to need to round that corner in terms of a paradigm shift, because it's unfair not to give people the ability to know what's going on with their health just because the insurance industry doesn't want to know.
Yeah.
So, we do understand that there may be early on some friction there, but we do think in the long term, this will be incredibly beneficial for patients and their doctors and the insurance industry as a whole.
Yeah. This is really
That
good
was a
stuff.
little bit meandering, but I hope I
I
answered.
got it. I think you answered the question, and just something to address. I mean, everything's not necessarily addressed, and who knows what's going to come up. But what I'm
Sure.
hearing is that we're prepared to address stuff that comes up. And you said we're never going to be done, because stuff's going to always come up. And we we work with it and figure it out and get the people on the team that we need to have and go from there. So that's what I
Correct.
really like about your company.
Thank you.
I love this very, very much. FHIOS is under that Philanthro Investors umbrella, you guys. So if you want more information about FHIOS, well, actually back up before we go there, because I'll tell you how to get there. But what are you looking for investors, number one, and what kind of investors are you looking for if you are looking for investors?
So we are currently doing our active raise. We really kicked it off sort of right before the holidays, that being Thanksgiving. But the real primary launch is January 23.
Okay.
So we are completely founder funded to date. Founder funded, founder built. So this will be our first external capital raise. We are doing discounted. We're doing it in sort of an interesting way. So we're doing it at a pretty significant discount for the first tranche of capital, but we're raising it simultaneously. Now, the interesting thing, obviously, about this is we do need a significant amount of capital to responsibly launch and go to market. It's not as though we can sort of bootstrap and MVP it once we're dealing with people's health, right? It's not a photo sharing app. So there's a good amount of infrastructure that we need to have in place in order to responsibly do this. That said, the amount that we can get to scale for is pretty surprising given the competitive landscape. So we'd be happy to discuss. Obviously, for the initial round, sort of the minimum investment is around 200 at a discount, and then the larger simultaneous round is what we're really looking for early stage venture for.
Okay.
Now, the nice thing is, for the current two-phase raise that will complete hopefully by the end of Q1, that enables us to launch and scale 14 markets profitably in the next 36 months.
Okay.
So we can, and we're very confident, and the numbers are about as conservative as we can get them realistically. So we can do, after we raise this next sort of seed and A round, we will be able to achieve scale in 14 American cities for that and do it profitably.
And what's the initial raise? Did you say that? I'm sorry.
Yeah, so we're going to raise, or we're raising the remaining 1 at a 10, so $1 million at a 10 million, and then we'll do the next 4 at a 25 post. So like I said, the initial amounts coming in are going to be at a smaller check size and a pretty significant discount, and that will enable us to finalize servers and encryption and security protocol. That's just we have the team to do it. We just need to scale that out a little bit. And then the larger raise enables us, the 4 to 25 enables us to get to market and scale and do it in a proper way in the health tech space.
Okay, so guys, if you didn't understand what David said about a 1 at a 10 and a 4 at a 25, you're going to have to get on a call and we'll go through that. Go ahead.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's just in layman's terms, $1 million for 10% of the business, and then another 4 million for like 18% of the business ish. And obviously, it's an area that strategic investors, physicians, people with health technology background in the venture space are always ideal and welcome.
Mm-hmm.
There's, we would love to have people that are interested in being involved far beyond just writing a check. We're already a very diverse and cohesive group. We're 50% female led, which we're very proud of, and that's going to be a big part of our DNA. So we've got a diverse leadership team, both in terms of gender and ethnic background,
Mm-hmm.
because we believe, and discipline and specialty. So we believe that everybody, when you have a diverse leadership team, brings sort of their own experiential wisdom, for lack of a better term, to building out a truly excellent product and service. So that's usually a major question that I get is, what does your founding leadership team look like culturally? And so diversity is very important to us and was intentionally done in our DNA from the beginning.
Mm-hmm. I love it.
No pun intended.
Love it very much. Okay, so we'll go to, if you are interested, if this sounds like something you want to learn more about, and you don't understand even if you can invest in it, you can go to Money with Mission, go to opportunities, become a philanthro investor, scroll down, or it's at the very top actually, to schedule a call. Get on a call with me and we can go through it and figure out if this is something that would fit into your portfolio and how we can make that happen. moneywithmission.com, opportunities, become a philanthro investor. Schedule a call with me and we'll figure it out. Okay. This is a really good company, guys.
Perfect.
I'm super excited about it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much,
us, David. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. It's always a delight to speak with you.
You listen to Money with Mission podcast because you want to change lives while having your own financial return. You want to make a difference. You are a philanthro investor. The company Philanthro Investors was founded to financially support companies and individuals of goodwill who are making a positive social impact on planet Earth. The vision of Philanthro Investors is a world in which every family can have the opportunity to live in their own happy home, in which every individual can have easy access to organic, natural food, where animals and humans can drink clean water and breathe clean air. A world in which lives are protected from structural damage through innovative construction plans and materials. A world without electrical structures, full of renewable energy. A world without illiteracy, where disease is a distant past. A world where artistic talents are developed, appreciated, and adequately rewarded. You can have true financial freedom with the knowledge, control, and high purpose of philanthro investing and achieve a true legacy. Learn more at moneywithmission.com. Click opportunities, then click philanthro investors.
You've been listening to Money with Mission. There are projects happening right now. where you can have a great financial return while positively affecting the lives of others. To learn more about our opportunities, go to moneywithmission.com.